Hi everyone, welcome back to Thrifty Mama Scraps. This is Monday, February 19th, which is also President's Day. And this is also the 5th time that I've tried to record this video. It got a little bit frustrating for me, and so I had to take a break because things just weren't going the way that I wanted them to. And I accidentally broke a tripod, and yeah, it hasn't been the best Monday, let's just say that. So, today I wanted to talk to you guys about the way that I scrapbook. Because I scrapbook a little bit differently than a lot of other people. So, I thought that it might be interesting to some people to see the way that I scrapbook. It may not be for everyone. It's just something that I do because I've been scrapbooking for so long. I've been scrapbooking since 1999. And so that's a really long time to scrapbook. And it's how I keep the excitement alive in my hobby. So I want to continue doing it. But before I get started, I wanted to show you my finished layout. I did my journaling. I always journal before I put my in most cases, I'm not going to say always, because I do have a December daily that is not completely journaled on. But as of late, I try to journal on every layout because I tend to forget about it. So it's best if I do it right away. So, when I journal on a layout, I try to brainstorm, and I'm kind of trying to, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Just a sec. Okay, I'm back. The reason why I stopped the video is I wanted to get this quote that I came across once that just really explains on why my memories are so important to me, and why it's important to take the time to investigate your memories. And maybe investigate is not the right word. To explore your memories. That's probably. The quote is from Sarah Ban Brevnick, and it is, "Authentic archaeologists know how to unearth remnants of memory buried deeply in the fertile soul of the subconscious mind." And that is such a great quote because as scrapbookers, we are very much authentic archaeologists. We want more than anything to remember parts of our life that are deep and meaningful. And so I really, really like that quote. Another quote that I like that's from Christina Baldwin is, "How we remember and what we remember and why we remember form the most personal map of our individuality." And isn't that true about scrapbookers? We want our scrapbooks to be individual, to reflect our individuality. And we also want it to, our memories to reflect us, because each of us has our own memories, and each of our memories are authentic to ourselves. And we want our scrapbooks to be authentic reproductions of our lives. And so we want that to be reflected in our scrapbooks. So anyway, getting back to this page, I wanted to add that tidbit because I thought it was very interesting and relevant to journaling and scrapbooking. So the main thing that I wanted to remember on this page on this layout was what happened that night. And I wanted to remember things that maybe I might not remember in the future, or things that would be that other people or family members would not know if they came across my scrapbook and were reading it. So, I wrote down a couple things. I kept it pretty brief. I mentioned that we had gone to dinner with two friends at a supper club, and I remembered what I ordered, just because back then in the 80s we didn't go out to eat much. I also remembered tearing my dress, and that happened at the high school. Our high school is a little bit different than other people's high schools. Our school dean says you were not allowed to go if you did not have a date, which is very different. It would not be like that now. I don't think my husband's high school actually was not like that. They could have singles there, but our school did not allow that. And so they did something that was called the Grand March, and everybody went up on stage, and then they called out your name over the loud or over microphone and announced each couple as they walked down off the stage. And I was getting on the stage, and my dress caught on the hinge of a door, and it ripped the bottom lace off my dress, which was very unfortunate. But so that's a memory that I wanted to record, was my ripped dress. I also wanted to record my friend's bouquet. She had the most colorful and fun bouquet that anybody could ever imagine. I remember that it had colored peacock feathers in it and big tropical flowers, and it was teal and purple and fuchsia, and it was just really cool. So I remember that. And I remember the coat that I wore over this was white fur, and I remember it being a very cold and rainy night, because that coat actually got ruined that night because it wasn't made to get wet, and it got wet from the rain. So I remember those things, and those are the things I wanted to record. I did end up adding these musical notes on here. I had forgotten to do that last night, and I put those on this morning. And then I also added our names. So, and I think that's the only change. Oh, I did put a couple staples here because this was starting to pull up. But anyway, so that's that layout, and it's finished. And where that layout is going to go is part of what I wanted to talk about today with you. I used to scrapbook in chronological order years and years ago. And when I started in 1999, I was not interested in scrapbooking at all. I had no intention to start scrapbooking. I kind of thought that it was a ridiculous hobby, to be honest. In my mind, I thought why anyone would decorate pictures and with stickers and put them into an album just didn't make sense to me. It just seemed like a big time waster when you could just stick your photos in a picture album. Well, one of my best friends had a creative memories party in 1999, and at the time my oldest was 5, and so I went just basically to have fun with her. I even told her that I wasn't interested in scrapbooking, and she encouraged me to go, so I went, and immediately that first page I fell in love with scrapbooking, and that was it for me. I was hooked, and no one could stop me, and I continued scrapbooking on and off for probably 8 years after that. in chronological order. And during that time, I had 2 other children, and life was busy because with babies and toddlers, life is extremely busy. There were a lot more photographs that I had that, because we had more kids and we had more things that we were doing, and I just felt like I was so far behind. I got to this point where I just couldn't move forward. Every time I thought about scrapbooking, I thought, I'm so far behind. I'm so far behind. And it made me not want to scrapbook. And it was very frustrating for me because I loved to scrapbook, but the excitement of it was gone because it just seemed like a chore, to catch up on one more thing in my life that I was behind on. And so, in 2008, I was at this point where I wasn't sure if I was ever going to scrapbook again, but I had all the stuff and I really didn't want to get rid of it. And I still love the concept of scrapbooking, but I wasn't sure where I was going to go from there. And then, bless her heart, my favorite scrapbooker in the whole wide world, Stacy Julian, came into the picture, and she wrote this book. And somehow I felt she wrote this book for me, which obviously she didn't write it specifically for me. She wrote it for many people, because they had been scrapbooking just like I had for a long time. And they were in the same situation that I was. I wasn't alone in this situation. Many, many women and men even were feeling this. We're feeling this like overwhelming sense of being behind, in their chronological scrapbooks. And so, and by the way, this video is not sponsored by her in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I love this book. This book changed my life. It changed everything that I ever did with scrapbooking, and it just opened up an excitement that was missing. And I just wanted to mention that because what she did is she gave us the freedom to create albums that were not chronological, and that was almost unheard of at that time. And she basically makes theme albums, or categorical albums is probably a better word. And I always think back to the everything in its place, a place for everything and everything in its place, because I kind of think of scrapbooking that way more than a hobby and a craft. And crafty, I think of it as storage for my photos and preserving memories. And so it just made sense to me that my scrapbooks or my pictures should have a place to go immediately. I should know what album this is going to go in, and not what year specifically it should go in, but what category it should go in. And like this photo that I made yesterday, or this layout I made yesterday, I know immediately what album this layout is going to go in. It's going to go in my A Look Back album series, because it is a photo of the past. It's a past memory. It's not related to my husband and I. It's just childhood photo. And so this layout will go in that album. And I know that immediately. I knew it right when I was making it. Stacy Julian's albums, she has many different categories. She has things, everyday life, people we love, places we go, things we do. And those are things that she used in this book. And mine are a little bit different. And the reason why mine are a little bit different is because, like everyone has different needs. And so we had a lot of, we go a lot of places. And so everything could not be, everywhere we went, all the photos from that could not go in just one album or one album series, Everything We Go. It was just too random for us. And so I thought of in and around town, which includes birthday parties, church activities, school programs, if we go out to eat in town, if we go bowling, or go to a movie. Just anything that happens outside of our house within our area, piano recitals, things like that. So instead of making it just within our specific town, I allowed it to include anywhere in the state. So even when we went to Chicago for our December trip, that will go in and around town, because it did happen in our state, or those photos were taken within the state. Now, all the photos that are taken outside the state go in my Faraway Places album. And so that would be any, like, if we went to Disney World, or my parents live out of state. So if we're fishing on their lake, you know, those kind of photos would go there. Individual pictures of my parents, maybe on that exact same trip. You know, if I were to make a layout of my parents specifically, that would go in People We Love in that album. And that is consistent with one of her albums, is People We Love too. And those are all the people that we love, you know. And I've gone further with our pets, because we have a lot of pets. And that goes in an album called Pets We Love. So you can really make up, you know, whatever you're interested in, and to make a theme album. And I love this concept. I think it is fantastic. It keeps everything exciting and new, and it allows me to scrap whatever photograph I want to, or, you know, put photographs together that I wouldn't normally put together, you know, because I have that organizational process in mind when I'm scrapbooking. One thing I want to tell you about Stacy Julian is that she is offering a new class soon, which is an updated version of this Photo Freedom class. And she has turned this book into a class, and she did this in the past, and she has updated it since then. And I'm so excited to take the class. But I wanted to mention that here, because this system that she has come up with has completely changed my life, and many other scrapbookers as well, I am sure. So follow her on Instagram. Follow Stacy Julian on Instagram and on Facebook. I just saw it last week that she is going to introduce a new class. So make sure you check that out. And I promise you, it will totally change your life and make this craft super exciting again if you're feeling like a lull in your scrapbooking. So, I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about how I use, or how I store my photos, and why I choose to make such a large page kit. But I think I'm going to do that on the next video, because I'm already at 16 minutes and I don't want this video to be too long. So I thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you'll join me for my next video, which is going to be about the reason why I do not organize my photos, and also the reason why I make such large page kits and not individual, why I make such large color kits and not individual page kits, kind of like Nicole Jones 911 does. I love her channel. I watch it all the time. But I do things just a little bit differently than she does, and I thought that I would show how I do it too, and why I choose to do it this way. It's very similar to her way, but my kits are always a lot bigger than what hers are. So I will catch you soon, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.